What's going on, everybody? My name is DJ Corlo Tendido and welcome to Mix with Me number 5's Mixplanation video. So in this type of video, I basically explain the mix I just made for you guys, but before we get to this one, let me first explain to you the equipment we used in this video. So on the left side over here, we have the DDJ SP1 and on the right side, we have the DDJ 200. Now, for you guys who are pretty young, you may be wondering, what the hell is the DDJ SP1? Well, the DDJ SP1 is an add-on controller made for Serato, but I repurposed it for Rekordbox DJ instead. And so, what this controller does is that it adds on features that are missing on the DDJ 200, like the ability to browse, activate effects, activate pad effects, beat slicer mode, and so on and so forth. So this controller makes up for the basic vanilla-ness of the DDJ 200, because when you look at this controller, it's hard to explain. It's so basic. It only has performance pads, and all you really can do with it is just mix music, because it's really meant to be used with a smartphone. But for this video, I decided to use it with Rekordbox DJ. So that is why I brought in the DDJ SP1 to activate effects and activate these cool functions and functionalities that Rekordbox DJ offers. Because I can't do this with the DDJ 200. Well, technically you can, but it's going to be extremely difficult. But anyway, let me explain further what this controller and how this controller work together. So this section over here controls deck number 1. It's basically the same thing on this area over here. And this section over here controls deck number 2. And it's also the same thing on this section over here. So when you look at these performance pads which are lit, 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8, it's the same as well here. 1, 2, 5, 7, 8. So if I press this pad over here, it's going to be the same exact effect if I press this pad over here, because they control the same thing, because this is set to hot cue mode. If I go to roll, slicer, then these pads will change and their functionalities will also change as well. But the functionalities on this controller over here will not. These will always be hot cues, ready for action. Now, let's, I guess, proceed with the video. What the hell was that? Now, that is called a beat juggle, and it's a very old school art of going back and forth between the same section of the same song. And as you heard here, we're just going back and forth between cue point A of deck number 1 and cue point A of deck number 2. And they're the same song, and we're just repeating this drum roll we're hearing. But the reason why it looks so complicated and the reason why it's so fast and looks just really cool is because I'm pressing all these damn buttons and going from deck 1, deck 2, SP1 to 100. It's just all really fast and complicated, and I made it that way to just make it look cool and dope. Because when you're making a performance mix, the first 5 to 10 seconds are the most important part in a mix. So you really want to impress other people to stick and watch your video, because if they see that the first 5 seconds are dope, then they'll probably watch till the end, and that is what we want. Now, what kind of beat juggling was I doing here? It's not the old school kind when you use platters to go back and forth. No, it's a pretty simple one, because all I'm doing is pressing cue point A here, 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 and here. And I'm using the crossfader to go back and forth. So if I press cue point A over here, it's the exact same thing if I press cue point A on this section over here. And if I press cue point A on this section over here, it's the exact same thing if I press cue point A on this section here. It's just a redundant duplicate. So you can think of it as that. So let's rewind and break things down. We play the first song, slam the crossfader to the other side to silence the song we just played and to trigger the cue point which we just also played. So now we have a juggle going on. Now we're going to crossfade to the other side, but this time we're going to press this button over here instead of this button over here to look cool. And to look even cooler, we're going to do this cross arms thing. So we're going to press cue point A on deck number 2 and bring the crossfader from the left side to the right side. And we did it again on the other side. And now we're going to activate our first effect of many in this video, which is the HPF echo. That stands for high pass filter echo. And it's basically the same effect you get when you activate echo and a high pass filter on this knob over here, but it's just combined into one effect as HPF echo. And I do this and activate it when I hit the snare over here, just to mark the ending of this juggle routine. Now we're activating spiral up on deck number 1. And we're doing this to create some tension and a build-up as we go to this section over here. This one over here. And the difference of spiral up and HPF echo is that spiral up creates a more layered, more technical and complicated echo. You can think of it as echo brought to its, I don't know, maximum peak, because there's just so many sounds going on. Because by bringing the knob from left to right, you get this filtering, high pass sounding sound. But when you bring the filter knob, this one over here, this low dry section over here, from right to left, you get like a decreasing, a filtery sound effect. It's very hard to explain, and I suggest you just mess around with spiral up to better understand it. I personally use it just to show off my echo skills, but if I was gonna be in a gig and I'm just gonna play music and make people dance, I would never use that. I would just use echo. But for this part in the mix, it's very, very good, because you have to keep in mind that this whole mix is EDM centric, and EDM songs just have a build-up, a chorus, an outro, and that's it. And we're gonna play around with that structure and idea. And now we're going to transition from this hip-hop song to this EDM drum track, which I found, which I think is pretty cool. Now the idea is to match the acapella out section of this song with the drop of this song over here. And since we're going to change sections from here to here, activating another high-pass filter can help let the audience understand that something is happening. And it can also help build up this routine for the routine we're going to do. Beat Slicer now is active and armed and ready to go. So when I do press a pad on this section over here, Beat Slicer is ready. And the reason why I activated it here at Q point H is because I want my Beat Slicer mode to be aligned in this way. Because if you press it in another section, like let's say over here, then the numbers are going to be misaligned. Let me further explain this. So by pressing it at Q point H, I will know that Q pad number 1 will be a kick and Q pad number 2 will be a snare. If I had pressed Beat Slicer mode at this section over here, then this pad over here will be Q point number 1 and this pad over here will be Q point number 2. And when you're doing a mix as technical as this, knowing and structuring how you use Beat Slicer mode is very, very important. And I wouldn't want to go around and mess around by pressing different buttons. So that is why I pressed it at this section over here specifically, so that when I do mess around with Beat Slicer mode, I know what button to press because I rehearsed it and I prepared for it. Now as you proceed to do the Beat Slicer routine, we're going to bring that high pass filter up just to create tension and build up for this routine. Now, we just pressed Q pad number 8 twice, and we pressed it at this section over here as the song was going on. And I pressed it there because there's just a blank section at this part over here, and I wanted to fill it up by pressing Q pad number 8. Now, when you use Beat Slicer mode, it is very important to activate quantize on it, because if you don't, then you're on your own. The computer will not help you give you perfect timing. It's just not gonna happen unless like you're a professional drummer. So having quantize on will help greatly, and that's why I sound so perfectly on time. And when you choose to use beat slicer mode, please, please, please be intentional with it. Don't just activate beat slicer mode and press random buttons. It won't.